My name is Kainton the Genius, and today we are going to continue with our R tutorial for data science and machine learning, and we are going to be taking lesson 4. So we are going to see how we can import data into R. We are going to talk about data formats for .data, .csv, .xls, .xlsx, .txt, read.csv, read.table, read.delete, converting formats, and the fixed command. So let's just get started. I'd like to also remind you to subscribe to my channel. Click on the subscribe button below so you subscribe and don't miss an update. Don't miss any updates, and also it kind of motivate me to keep making these lessons. So for now, the first thing I want to teach you is a little trick. So this little trick is about how to get data from the clipboard. So let's say we have this data in Excel. Of course, we can use some commands to import it. But one thing we can do to get this data in is to just copy it to the clipboard. So just copy it, and then to view this data here, simply use something like, for sure, let's create a variable that will hold this data. So let's say equal to read.table, and now you can say file is equal to clipboard. So what is you're trying to tell the system R is that this file, this data will be coming from the clipboard. So you also say separation is equal to, I think it should be T, and header is equal to true. So let's see if it works. All right, so let's check. Remember that this is the data we are trying to import, this little data here. So if I check my data, let's see. So you can see actually that data we imported is. So please take note of this important command. This is what you can do when there is maybe you're running out of time or something. Just open Excel, open that data set, just copy it and use this command to bring it right into our studio. All right, let's now go to other things. Now, let's say we have a bigger data set. For instance, in my system, I have, let's say, this data set called auto data set. This auto data set is in .data format. This .data format, one thing you can do is to try to open this data with Notepad. Because for most data formats, you can actually open it with Notepad. All right, so this is how the data looks like. So let's now try to import this data into R. To import it, we also use read.table. Now I mentioned read.table, read.csv, read.delete, all of them derive from read.table. So for instance, if we try to find out about read.table, you can see that it gives us that it reads file in table format and creates a data frame from it, with cases corresponding to lines and variables corresponding to fields in the file. So let's try to do this. Let's read this data that I have in my drive D called auto.data. Let's try to read it in. So let's say, so let's call it auto data equal to read. Let's say read.table as well, read.table. And then let's say file is equal to specify the file to be drive D, data auto.data, that's the name. Let's just make sure. So we have auto.data, so that's correct. And what I can just press enter. Okay, so let's try to view this data to see how it is. Although there are a number of things you can specify, but for now, let's see, view this data to see what is in there. All right, so you can see it gave this data, but for now, we cannot really say exactly what this data is all about, although we can see some rows and columns. So what we can do at this point is to use a command called the fix command. Fix command, F-I-X, and let's call it auto data. So fix command is going to display this data in a tabular form, as you can see right here. Okay, so you can see that the data was imported correctly. But sometimes we may not be this fortunate. So let's take, for instance, let's import another data from our system, from my system. This time is the iris data. Let's import it to see how it looks like. So let's say this time we are saying read the table, and we are going to say iris. Meanwhile, you can change the extension of those data sets to .csv. So let's call this iris data. All right. So if I say iris data, of course I have this data, but now you say we have a problem. Everything is in just one single column, and that is V1. How do I know? If I use the fix command again, so if I fix iris data, you can see that everything is in just one single column. And believe me, this is not what we want. We want it to separate into the different columns. Because if you look at the data, let's say, if we go up, we can see it seems to me that it's separated by comma, as you can see. So I'll show you how to handle this I'll show you how to handle this. So one thing we can do is we can also use, let me just clear my screen so that so let's try to put that there's a separation of comma. So let's say SEP equal to comma, and let's see. So let's say iris. This time I'm going to say fix iris data. What is happening to me? All right, so you can see using the separation to be comma, you can see that it has separated the data into different columns, V1, V2, V3, and V4, as you can see right here. And also, you can also do the same thing in Microsoft Excel, because it's not everybody that uses R. So if you are watching and you are using Python, you can actually use Microsoft Excel to play a little trick. So let's do it. So I'm going to go to Excel, and I'm going to say File. I'm going to say, so I'm going to go to Data, and I'm going to choose Import from Text. So Import from Text will give me option to import this data and then be able to adjust how it looks. So if I click on Import, it will give me this dialog box. So I'll say that the data is delimited or delimited. Okay, so I'm going to go next. It's delimited by a comma. Yeah, it's delimited by a comma. So just choose comma and say next. Okay, and just say finish. So at this point, you can see that this data is imported and is also separated right here into different columns, as you can see. So I could actually remove this and then save this data with a new name of .xl. All right, so this is how to import data into Excel, how to import data from the clipboard, how to import from tabular form from the data file. Again, one thing you can do as well, just come to the data and just change the extension to .csv. Boom. So just say okay. Wait, let's see. Okay, so you should wait some time. Or you can even change it to xlsx, that is Excel format. I think this might need to be closed, maybe. Don't save. Okay, so you can tell. Okay, perfect. So it saves the CSV and it opens in Microsoft Excel. So this is something you can do on your own to be able to import different kind of data. Again, there are ways to find out help on what to do. So you can say question mark read.delete. So this is basically also like read the table. You specify that there is being a separator, whether it is space or tab or new line or stuff like that. So if you press it, it takes you to read the table right here. So this is how to import data to RStudio, how to manipulate data in Microsoft Excel. I'm going to actually stop here, and in the next lesson, I'm going to now teach you how to get data sets for free. I'll show you a collection of data sets inside R, and also how to get free data sets online. So I remain kind on the Genius, and I also like to remind you to subscribe to my channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. Feel free to leave me a comment to let me know if you have any challenges.